Political Landscapes tells the story of Mexican forests and the people who lived within them. It shows that forests became organic sites of social contention after the Mexican Revolution of 1910, as the land reform began to include forests within the territories that were given to campesinos. The book shows how campesinos, politicians, and conservationists began to voice their own ideas about what had happened to Mexican forests during most of the 20th century, and shows that actually converted them into literal political landscapes. The narrative opens in the 19th century with the presidency of Porfirio Diaz. It continues through a history of the revolution that shows how forests became contested sites between foreign corporations and local actors of various sorts. It pays particular attention to the presidency of Lázaro Cárdenas during the 1930s, a moment at which producers' cooperatives were created as an effort to involve land reform beneficiaries in the use of their own lands. This, in my view, becomes one of the first global experiments in what we now call community forestry. The push for development in the post-World War II era put an end to this populist experiment in favor of a large developmentalist agenda that removed power over the forests from rural people and tried to give it to putatively more progressive and rational organizations. Nevertheless, pockets of community forestry continued to survive throughout Mexico, and particularly in indigenous areas. I have tried to make the book classroom friendly, with brief thumbnails of critical national events at the beginning of each chapter. The chapters then discuss events on the national level, both in terms of conservation science and policy, then move into case studies in the states of Michoacán and Chihuahua. I chose these states because each one has large indigenous populations and a history of commercial forestry, trying to show how these communities entered into exchange with each other in a bid to determine the fate of the forests. I hope that the book will appeal broadly to historians of Mexico, as well as to all of those interested in the history of development in the woodlands and within Native communities over the last 120 years. Thank you.